the plan. I'm gonna go take an Uber in the afternoon before 2:40. From there, I'll go onto school campus, walk up the stairs, unload my bags, and get my AR and shoot people down at the main courtyard. Await, and people will die. Today is the day that it all begins. The day of my massacre shall begin. All the kids in school will in fear and hide. From the wrath of my power, they will know who I am. I am nothing, I am no one. My life is nothing and meaningless. Everything that I hold dear, I let go beyond your half. Every day I see the world ending another day. I live a lone life, live in seclusion and solitude. I hate everyone and everything. With the power of my AR, you will all know who I am. I had enough of being told what to do and when to do. I had enough of telling me that I'm an idiot and a dumbass. But in real life, you're all the dumbass. You're all stupid and brainwashed by these fucking political government programs. You will all see, you will all know who my name is. My love for you, Angie, will never go away. I hope to see you in the afterlife. When one day or another, you will end and we'll all die. Hello. My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people. With an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds, I think I can get done. Location is Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
Now, you've told me some different examples of things you've done to animals, different animals. When was the very first time you can remember ever doing something that people might look at and say that's not very kind to an animal? How young were you?
I broke a lizard's back with a rock.
And how old were you?
3.
Okay. And how come you did? What do you remember about doing that?
Something me and my brother did. We went around killing lizards.
Okay. So
sometimes I
must have
skin them
been
alive. Sometimes I set them on fire.
okay. The lizards.
Yeah.
When did you start skinning the lizards alive?
I just taped him to the little table, and I took a knife and I just scraped him.
Okay.
And
And how old were you the first time you did that? Do you think?
4.
Okay. And then what about setting them on fire? How would you do that?
Take a lighter. They burn instantly.
How would they react?
Burn instantly.
Would they burn instantly? Do they make any movement or sound or anything?
They start curling up, and
Okay.
then just fall over.
Do you think would be really important for me to know?
What do you think? Why I chose Valentine's Day?
Okay. Why Valentine's Day?
Because I felt like no one loved me. And I didn't like Valentine's Day. I wanted to ruin it for everyone.
Okay, ruin it for everyone? You mean like the family members of the kids that were killed?
No. For school.
Oh, for the school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like an attack against Stoneman Douglas.
Basically, yes.
Stoneman Douglas, right?
I am very sorry for what I did, and I have to live with it every day. And that if I were to get a second chance, I will do everything in my power to try to help others. And I am doing this for you, and I do not care if you do not believe me. And I love you, and I know you don't believe me, but I have to live with this every day. And it brings me nightmares, and I can't live with myself sometimes, but I try to push through because I know that's what you guys would want me to do. I hate drugs, and I believe this country would do better if everyone would stop smoking marijuana and doing all these drugs and causing racism and violence out in the streets. I'm sorry, and I can't even watch TV anymore. And I'm trying my best to maintain my composure, and I just want you to know I'm really sorry. And I hope you give me a chance to try to help others. If I believe it's your decision to decide where I go and whether I live or die. Not the jury's. I believe it's your decision. I'm sorry.
My fellow Americans, today I speak to a nation in grief. Yesterday, a school filled with innocent children and caring teachers became the scene of terrible violence, hatred, and evil. Around 2:30 yesterday afternoon, police responded to reports of gunfire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, a great and safe community. There, a shooter, who is now in custody, opened fire on defenseless students and teachers. He murdered 17 people and badly wounded at least 14 others. Our entire nation, with one heavy heart, is praying for the victims and their families. When we see there's trouble, we have to nab them. You know, years ago we had mental hospitals, mental institutions. We had a lot of them, and a lot of them have closed. They've closed. Some people thought it was a stigma. Some people thought, frankly, it was, the legislators thought it was too expensive. Today, if you catch somebody, they don't know what to do with him. He hasn't committed the crime, but he may very well. And there's no mental institution. There's no place to bring him. And we have that a lot. Even if they caught this person, I'm being nice when I use the word person, they probably wouldn't have known what to do. They're not going to put them in jail, and yet, so there's no that middle ground of having that institution where you had trained people that could handle it and do something about it and find out how sick he really is, because he is a sick guy, and he should have been nabbed a number of times.
And so you shared with me that you had this thought about shooting up the school.
For a very long time.
When did it first, and we talked about this earlier this morning, but when did the idea first pop in your mind, or you first think about it?
14, 13.
Age 13 or 14?
Yeah.
And what was it at age 13 or 14 again that this thought came up? Was it when you were reading the books that we were talking?
I was reading the books.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did it ever go away, or did it kind of come and go?
Come and go, pop up in my mind one time and then just disappear for the next.
What seemed to make it come and what seemed to make it go?
When I saw violent videos on YouTube.
Okay, what kind of violent videos did you see?
War videos. Hearing war videos.
And did that make it more go up or more go down?
Go up.
Okay.
And then I watched documentaries.
Okay, what kind of documentaries?
Columbine Massacre documentary.
Right.
I think it was 42 hours or something. There was no same thing, but with Virginia Tech.
With Virginia Tech?
Yeah, Virginia Tech. And there was one on Elliot Rogers.
Do you remember if you ever kind of searched out on the internet ways to do a school shooting? Yeah.
I did my own research.
Yeah, tell me what research you did.
I looked up on Wikipedia. I studied mass murderers and how they did it,
Uh-huh.
like their plans and what they got and what they used.
And what did you learn from that kind of study?
I learned that the Columbine shooters, they had 3 guns that they used. They used high point 9995, regular. They used what was it? A double barrel shotgun cut down, pistol grip. They used another shotgun, and they used a Tech 9. I learned that from there. I learned Virginia Tech shooter. He had a tactical vest, and he had 2 pistols, Glock 9s, I think. I can't remember. I don't remember what brand, but he went to the gun range and he sighted them in.
Okay.
And I learned about Aurora Borealis. Guy used a Smith & Wesson P1542. And how I know he used it, it doesn't even say on Wikipedia, but it actually shows the brand on police documents.
Okay. And so you could you figured that out?
Yeah,
what he used?
Yeah.
And when you said Aurora Borealis?
Movie theater shooting in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chance Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And were there any lessons you learned? I mean, those are sort of the facts of what they did. Did you learn anything from reading those facts?
Yeah, they watched their corners. They kept the distance away from people. And they went in as fast as possible.
Okay.
And the police didn't do anything.
And what did all that mean to you as far as what you're thinking?
My thinking is if I do go on school campus, the police are not going to do anything, and I have a small opportunity to shoot people for maybe 20 minutes.
So I'm talking about the days leading up to the school shooting. You were telling
Yeah,
me.
I already had the magazines. I had all the ammunition. It was just there.
So it was already there.
It was already there. I just didn't have anything to do with it.
So nothing special. You had to go out and buy it a couple days beforehand. Okay, you already had it.
Already had it. It's just the ammunition that I didn't have. So.
Okay, and so one thing is you had this vest and you put the ammo in. What else did you do?
I put the gun in one of the safety bags, gun bags.
Yeah, tell me what a safety bag looks like. I haven't seen
It kind of looks like that right there.
Okay.
See that red one? Yeah.
Yeah, when did you put the gun in the safety bag?
The night prior,
Okay.
right after I practiced a little bit, sighted in.
Yeah, and where'd you go to practice again? You told me.
In the backyard.
In the backyard.
Like trying to imagine the recoil.
Yeah, that's right. That was at the Sneed's house. They had a place outside you could do that.
Yeah.
And you said you were figuring out the recoil?
Yeah.
Recoil.
Recoil.
Okay. And so the night before, the gun went into the bag. And did anything else go into that bag? It was like a gun bag. What else?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
just the gun.
And whatever was on the gun.
And what was on the gun?
A grip, tactical grip.
What's that?
It's like I can draw it.
Okay, you're good at drawing. There you go.
Okay, and then give me the pen again.
Absolutely.
I'm going to show you all components.
Yeah. Just tell me about what a technical grip is.
So I had a rail system on it, so it looked kind of different. And you could put a tactical grip on it. It's just a grip. So you basically screw it into the gun.
What's the point of having...
to keep it steady.
Okay.
And then same thing with the bipod. Bipod kind of looked like that a little bit.
All right. But you didn't use a bipod, did you?
That was already on the gun. I did.
It was already on it. Okay, and so...
Everything. And yeah, that's about it. That was on the gun. Oh, and what was it? The sling.
Okay, so you can hand me that back. Was the tactical grip already on the gun, or did you put it on the night before, or?
That was already on there for a while.
For a while, and the sling was on there.
Yeah, I just recently put on the bipod.
Okay, and so when you had this, the bipod was actually on the gun when you put it into the gun bag.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's the night before. About what time of night are we talking about?
Well, early morning, really.
Yeah, it might have even.
Yeah, I didn't get any sleep.
Okay, so this is on February the 14th, early morning.
8 or 9.
8 or 9 in the morning.
Not 8 or 9. No, it was 5:30. 5:30, and I sighted in at around 12 o'clock in the night.
The night before, like on the 13th, or like midnight. You mean?
Yeah, midnight. Yeah.
Tell me what sight it in means again.
Sighting in.
Yeah, sighting in. What does that mean?
To
get the bullet on target where you want to shoot at.
Okay.
You have to look at the rear front sight and then put the laser on top.
How long does it take to do that?
Can I try?
Sure. Just I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I'm trying to make you understand.
Yeah, you're good. You're welcome.
Okay. So there's like this. This is the front sight. This is what it looks like on the AR. So this is a rear sight, the circle thing, and this is a front sight.
Okay.
And you want to put the laser just a little bit right above it. That's your point of aim. And so this is what it kind of looks like when you're shooting a target. Kind of like that.
Okay. How does that laser? How does the sight? How does that help you in your shooting?
So when it's in the gun, it's stabilized.
Okay.
So wherever the red dot goes is your point of aim, because that's where the bullet's going to come out
Okay.
of the gun, and that's how you sight it in.
Right. Does it help in any way with the shooting?
Yeah. So right after you take it out, put a bullet in, and then you actually fire, see if it actually shoots on where you just sight in to target where the red dot is.
Uh-huh.
And there you go.
Okay. All right. All right. So that was the sighting. How long does it take you to do the sighting the night before? About how long? You told me earlier
I
yesterday.
think it was about like 30 minutes to an
About
hour.
30 minutes. 30 minutes to an hour. Okay. The night before, you're out. You're at the Sneeds. You're in their backyard for 30 minutes to an hour with the AR-15. You come back. What are you even wearing the night before? Do you remember what you were wearing the night before?
My JRTC polo shirt and khaki pants.
Yeah. Why are you wearing your JRTC polo shirt?
To disguise myself if I do go in.
Okay.
Because if I had all that gear on there, they would have called the cops and held me that.
And then you're wearing khakis?
Yeah.
And were you wearing the same thing the night before as you were wearing the day of? Or did y'all change clothes? Or?
I changed clothes.
Okay.
I was wearing, before the day of the shooting, I was wearing a sweater, my camouflage shirt, my beanie.
This is the night before?
Yeah, like I told you, I used to cover myself.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So when did you put on the JRTC polo shirt?
Probably around 12 o'clock in the night after I sighted my rifle.
Okay. And again, you put on that shirt because?
To disguise myself so I don't draw attention.
Okay. Is it, I mean, you hadn't been there in a year or so, but is that kind of the same shirt they have for the most part, you think?
Almost every kid in JRTC had that shirt.
Okay. Where'd you sit in the car? The back seat?
Yeah,
front
back seat.
Okay. And?
I told her that I had, musical instruments. I was in the orchestra.
Okay. And how come you did that?
So I can get away with getting my guns in the car and going to the school.
And what did she say to that?
She said, okay.
Once you get to school, what's your next step?
Walk through the gates. Hopefully there's no security guards, which I was wrong.
So I haven't been to that school, so are there lots of gates, or how do you get to it?
There's 3 gates.
Okay, and so where do they drop you off?
The front gate of the
Okay,
school.
front gate. And so is your backpack, like sometimes you can wear a backpack like slump on your shoulder?
Yeah, it was in front. I think I was wearing it in front.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And then what were you doing with the gun safe bag?
I was walking.
Okay. And you're
South of Holmberg Road.
Okay, you're walking with it, and you have the backpack kind of on one side. And then what happened?
I went through the gates. I looked at the guy who was watching me.
Oh, there was a guy watching you?
Yeah.
Was it that?
I saw him radioing, and I said, "Oh shit, I'm screwed." So I just ran into the building, and I told the kid to get out of here. I don't remember what I exactly said, but I said something.
Was the guy that you saw radioing, and you said, "Oh shit, I'm screwed"? Was it Remember we were talking about some other security guy? Was that that same guy?
No.
No, totally different one.
Totally different.
And so, what did you think when you saw him talking on the radio? What do you think that was about?
I thought he was gonna. I think he called Scott Pearson.
Okay. And what would that mean if he did?
Scott Pearson was coming.
Okay, and what would that mean for your plan that day?
To shoot.
So how did you get to McDonald's?
I walked.
Is it a long ways?
Yeah.
From the Walmart? About how long do you think?
So from the school to the Walmart is about 400, 1,000 yards.
And then how far is it from?
And then you go left down the road,
Uh-huh.
probably another 600 yards.
600 yards to the McDonald's. And did you get anything to eat at the McDonald's?
I thought about it.
And do you know if you got anything? Are you hungry? The slushy probably wasn't enough, huh? What happened at the McDonald's?
I talked to this kid, told me his sister was at Stoneman Douglas still.
Okay. And did you have any conversation about, like, did he ask you who are you, or did he ask you anything about
Yeah,
it?
I asked him if I could have a lift. I needed to go to work or something like that. And he said he couldn't do it. He had a soccer game with his sister. Story is his sister died in the building.
I asked him if he had been hearing voices on the day of the homicide, and he said, the same man. I said, when was the last time? And so this is May of 2019, May 8th, 2019. And he said Sunday, so that would have been in 2019. He pretends my radio is a gun and tells me to pretend it is a gun and to shoot the guard. I said, well, who is this? And he said, swastika. He calls himself Swaz. I said, how did...
Okay, so...
I don't want to hear him. It's not comfortable.
So you didn't bring up swastika? He did?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't. It's the first time I ever heard of that.
Okay, do you know about the swastika now?
I do know that he is drawn and that he has related to others about, what he considers another personality named Swaz or a voice named Swaz.
So are you saying that Swaz is short for swastika?
That's what he was saying, yes.
Okay, and the voice's name was Swaz. Okay, did he ever say anything about demons?
I'm sorry, say again?
Did he ever say anything about demons?
Yes, he has.
What did he tell you about demons?
I have to go back and look. It's later on. I don't know if it was in the interview. I think it was later on. He's on and off. He mentions Swaz, or he mentions, a demon, or I think on the last time I saw him, which was, again, my error, you didn't receive that until yesterday, but there was something in there. Now I worship the devil. I hate God and Jesus and Christianity. The Antichrist told me. So there's a lot of discussion that he drops, particularly when he's angry, about demons or Antichrist or the devil. So, yeah, I've heard it before.
Okay, other than what you just told me, did he mention demons any other time?
He has, and I'd have to look for it. But again, so that we're clear, I don't see him as psychotic.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
He mentioned it, but I think it's like I hesitate to say this, but it's like a little kid way of explaining negative affect. I'm trying to make sense of something and doing a bad job of it. Let me see. I'd have to dig through it, and there's, like you said, 40 pages, but I know it's in here. So if you want to take the time to highlight it, I can.
No, since we're going to meet again, if you can find it, that's okay. I don't want to...
Let me make a note of it.
Go ahead, make a note. I'm sorry, go ahead. So he tells you the voice. It's one voice. It's a man, and his name is Swaz, short for swastika.
Correct.
Okay, in your notes, he says he pretends my radio is a gun, and he tells me to pretend it's a gun and shoot the guards.
Correct.
And how would you... That's his thought, to pretend his radio, or what was your impression of him telling you that Swaz pretends his radio is a gun and to kill the guards?
This is, what I took from this, honestly,
Yes.
This is a fantasy. He's uncomfortable with where he's at. He's uncomfortable with being locked down, being in jail. This is somebody who absolutely, 110%, has no capacity or understanding for how to deal with any negative affect, particularly anger. So he's fantasizing about shooting the guard with a radio. Honestly, he wasn't psychotic, and I took it as kind of nonsense, just like this wish fulfillment or frustration.
Okay, that concludes this exhibit. Showing you now State's Exhibit E for identification, an excerpt from Dr. Heather Holmes' deposition from March 16th, 22, pages 18 through 25. Are you familiar with this?
I am, yes, sir.
So this clip, we're talking about a swastika that was placed and it was into evidence, it was related to the offense. There's a swastika on the boot. There's a swastika on one of the magazines. So I'm asking him about where did the swastika come from? What does it mean? Who put it on there? Now, I've read depositions of other individuals who they've testified they did not put the swastika on the gun or the boot. And then I'm going to ask him, how did this come from? You'll see what he acknowledges, but you'll also see how he, and you can judge, what answer does he give you when I say, what is the swastika, what did it mean to you? You know, you went into the school, it's on your gun, it's on your boot. On the day that you killed 17 people and shot 17 others, what was the purpose of the swastika? And I think the clip will speak for itself. And any time where someone might have thought you were carving like a swastika on a table or something like that?
My friends told me to do that, and they did it as well. And I did that for attention. And anything that I drew swastika or said nasty remarks about the race or gender equality or anything like that was all for attention.
Okay.
And that magazine, I'm sure you know about it. It was like I had a magazine with a swastika on it for my AR.
Yeah.
I didn't write that at all.
Where'd that come from?
Jameson Todd asked me if he wanted to draw a swastika on it. And so I said, sure.
Okay, so
I didn't
drew,
think any of it.
so he drew the swastika on the magazine?
Yeah. We were just chilling out. He said, it's cool if I draw a swastika on your mag. I said, sure.
Okay. And was that magazine used on the day of the offense?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it left there like at the scene?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
And then someone told me I had a swastika on my boot. I did do that, but that was for attention.
Okay. When did you put the swastika on the boot?
Probably half a month before.
Okay. And what kind of attention can you get from having a swastika on you?
Negative or positive. It can be either way because the swastika was used Native American as a peace symbol.
Uh-huh.
And then when the Germans saw, I guess they took it out themselves and they made it into a symbolic symbol, which was really stupid because it was a Native American peace symbol.
Okay. But when you would put on your shoe for attention, which of those two was it most likely to kind of connect to or represent?
Mostly peace.
Okay. All right, so his presentation, why, and there's a history of him with a swastika on the book bag with a FN word. There's searches prior to this crime on the internet related to a range of things related to swastika. And in the course of my interview, although the swastika was on the magazine and the boot at the time he killed 17 people, he said it was there for the intent of peace. And so sometimes that just doesn't sort of seem, in my opinion, consistent with what the record showed.
Okay.
He knew what weapon he was going to use and what he intended to do with that weapon. And that weapon is mentioned, the AR-15, in the videos. The videos were made in the days prior to the crime, not even on the morning of the crime, so there had been a good bit of time for reflection. In the first video, he describes that he understands what the likely emotional reaction will be from those he's shooting at, meaning that they'll either run in fear or run and hide, something to that effect. So he understands what shooting in a school, the impact that's going to have on others. He also understands that this will be, quote, a big event, that you'll see him on the news, that his goal is 20. And so in the days in advance, he appreciated, he had the abstractive ability to know how this would be perceived in the community. It would be in the news, that you would all know him, his name would be on the news as well. He does mention a girl called Angie. He mentioned her in the video, and indicating that somehow his relationship with her will also, either through this act or crime that he committed, maybe they'll be reunited in some way. Doesn't say when in the future, but the overall presentation of him, he's calm, he's organized, he's speaking slowly, he's saying what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, he's saying where he's going to do it, he's saying what year he's going to do it, and he's saying even how he's going to get there, i.e. he's going to take an Uber. I think in the second video, he goes into more detail, showing the planning was in advance, even prior to the night before, and that there'll be a bag, he'll walk up the stairs, he'll take things out of the bag. So this is well thought out as far as how he's going to get in and approach and enter the school.
Speaking about executive functioning, did you have an opportunity to review the text messages between the defendant and J.T. Sneed and Angelique Gilmartin on the way to school?
Yes. So while he's in the Uber on the way to school, there are two different text exchanges. One is going to Angelique Gilmartin, a girl that he had hoped to perhaps go out either on Valentine's Day or date prior. She had let him know that she had a boyfriend and wasn't interested. So there's communication in the Uber, texting back and forth between the two of them. Simultaneously, there's a text exchange between another student called J.T. Sneed, or Jameson Sneed, and they're trying to arrange, or Jameson is, maybe a party or something to do that day, and could they have girls come over or not. So these messages are coming in roughly at the same time from two different sources, and he is texting back to them messages specific to each one. So there are two groups, different texts coming in, and it's not like it's disorganized messages in return. He is having a reply to the person texting him and able to discriminate between these two different separate groups.
Does that show executive functioning?
That shows good executive functioning in the extent that he can attend to the messages coming in. He can concentrate what the messages are from the two different parties, and he can decide what message to deliver to the two different parties without mixing the two up.
Okay. And I want to really talk about executive functioning. There was a clip about, you mentioned the Uber. Did you talk to the defendant about the Uber driver?
I did talk to the defendant about his planning, and both on the night before and how he would get to school. And I think I may have mentioned that he knew the school bell system. He knew roughly what time school started and got out, where the school was located. And then for the Uber driver, he had an estimate of how long it would take to get to school. And so when he enters the Uber, he is aware that that might be a stop point if for some reason the Uber driver recognized or was concerned about something being in a large bag. And so he had previously searched out looking for a guitar case that might be a better hiding of the weapon, but he told me it was perhaps too expensive, so he used a regular larger black case or bag. And so when he entered the car to the Uber, he expressed to her to help alleviate any potential concerns that he might be going to an orchestra or a music class. And so he had the ability calmly, even while going to school, to come up with a would-be cover story to make sure she didn't ask or didn't raise any questions.
And there's a clip on that, correct? Aaron, if you don't mind, clip 9B.
where'd you sit in the car? The back seat?
Yeah, back seat.
Okay. And
I told her that I had musical instruments. I was in the orchestra.
okay. And how come you did that?
So I can get away with getting my guns in the car and going to the school.
And what did she say to that?
She said, okay.
Okay, and how about executive functioning when he arrived? Do you remember when he met with Christopher McKenna in the stairwell?
Sure. So his executive functioning from the time in the Uber, even until he entered the school, was intact. He instructed the Uber driver, for example, which gate might be more advantageous for him to enter. She took him to that gate. He entered the stairwell, and during the intercourse of being in the stairwell, in that time frame, he's getting his gun, his AR-15 ready, and he runs into a student, Christopher McKenna, who is leading from the main hall into the stairwell. And in that interaction, he tells Christopher McKenna, "You better leave, or you better get out of here. Something bad is about to happen." So it indicates even prior to the shooting, in the moments before, he understood that there was going to be a negative outcome, and expressed that to him. So he appreciated the outcome of what he was about to do.
And what was with reference to a security guard?
Right. So he reported to me that even when he was entering the school, was left off from the gate, that he thought he saw a security officer may have seen him. And so he realized that he might have to proceed and go faster in case an alert was sent out, and it might prevent him having as much time as he needed. In my interview, he did discuss that he was aware roughly how long you had before an officer might show up, and so he understood it could be a limited period of time.
Okay. I think we have a clip on that. Clip 13B, please, Aaron.
Once you get to school, what's your next step?
Walk through the gates. Hopefully there's no security guards, which I was wrong.
So what I haven't been to that school, so are there lots of gates, or how do you get to
There's
it?
3 gates.
Okay, and so where do they drop you off?
The front gate of the school.
Front gate. And so is your backpack, like sometimes you can wear a backpack like slump on your shoulder?
Yeah, it was in front. I think I was wearing it in front.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And then what were you doing with the gun safe bag?
I was walking
Okay. And you're
south of Humber Road.
okay. You're walking with it, and you have the backpack kind of on one side. And then what happened?
I went through the gates. I looked at the guy who was watching me.
Oh, there was a guy watching you.
Yeah.
Was it that?
I saw him radioing, and I said, "Oh shit, I'm screwed." So I just ran into the building, and I told the kid to get out of here. I don't remember what I exactly said, but I said something.
Was the guy that you saw radioing and you said, "Oh shit, I'm screwed"? Was it remember we were talking about some other security guy? Was that that same guy?
No,
No, totally different one.
totally different.
And so, what did you think when you saw him talking on the radio? What do you think that was about?
I thought he was gonna. I think he called Scott Pearson.
Okay. And what would that mean if he did?
Scott Pearson was coming.
Okay, and what would that mean for your plan that day?
To shoot.
Okay. And how about evidence of executive functioning when he actually got on the first floor?
Right, so the first floor is where the shootings began, and even in the day prior and the day of the shooting, prior to getting the Uber, he had taken several steps so that when he got this point to the first floor, his plan to kill up to 20 people could be effective. So one of the things that he did, and this occurred then on the first floor, was that he had a paintball vest that had been, I think, a friend of his, and he loaded it up the day before with different magazines. And so that was then placed in the bag, the backpack with other items, and so he had different magazines. The magazines were in the vest. He had one in his pocket. As he described on the night before, he had practiced sighting the weapon and imagining the recoil, so he would be prepared. The shirt that he wore, as he described, was so that he could blend in. He also told me that he chose Valentine's Day in particular. He described how he had difficulty with Valentine's Day because he had no one to love or no one to love him. And so that was a day of his choosing. And so when he got on the first floor, what he had done the day and the night prior to really allowed him to be more effective in what he did. So he goes to the first floor, he turns, and after he loads the 10-round magazine, he starts his shooting. And he is successful in shooting several students on the first floor and also some school personnel. And he goes through and shoots through different classroom windows. He walks down the hallway. At one point, he runs out of the 10-round magazine, so he takes his backpack, I believe, off. He opens the backpack. He has the tactical vest that has the magazines in it, and then he can resume shooting, which he does. So this indicates a lot's going on, despite the noise, the sounds, the smells, everything around him. He is able to reload, put on the vest, select a magazine, continue to shoot, to continue to target individuals, approach them. And there were some individuals where he even shot a second time, even after he had shot them once. So he had goal-oriented, directed behavior throughout that first floor.
Or that you are, in fact, following along, that you are, in fact, consulting with counsel when needed, and that you are not having any difficulty understanding the proceedings here today. Sir, has anything changed since the time that I accepted your plea, other than the fact that during your plea you were not on medication, and it's my understanding that you are now on medication? Is that correct? Yes. Are you taking your medication as prescribed by your medical physicians in the jail? You're not taking any more or any less. Is that correct? And is your medication affecting your ability to understand what's going on here today? Are you having any trouble concentrating? Are you having any trouble understanding me when I'm speaking to you, or understanding any of the witnesses as they're speaking? And you're able to follow along sufficiently? Do you have any questions about what's going on today? Have you had sufficient time to speak with your lawyers? Okay, at this time, the court's previous finding that the defendant is making a knowing, intelligent, and voluntary waiver of his rights stands. I do believe that he is competent to go forward in this proceeding, and that's based upon his answers to my questions, as well as the court's own observations of the defendant. Before I impose the sentence in this case, I want to thank the family members for the privilege of learning about each and every one of your loved ones. I can tell you that they will not be forgotten, and I feel that I know each and every one of them by the personal stories that you have given. By way of example, Mr. Beagle, I remember as the witty teacher with the dry sense of humor. Luke Hoyer as the unexpected baby that came but was so welcomed by his mom and dad. And these are just two that I'm remembering off the top of my head. You all have been so strong and patient and graceful throughout this process, and I can't help but think of how I would behave or respond if I were in your shoes. And the way that you have grieved so gracefully and have shown extraordinary restraint throughout this process is something that I've never seen. And as a group of people, you are so strong and so united that if anything good came out of this event, I feel seeing you, I can know that you are all going to be okay because you have each other. I know that that doesn't help at all. And if I could take your pain away or carry your pain for you just for 5 minutes so that you could breathe, I would. Because I can't even imagine what you go through each day. You are a wonderful, strong community. And I also want to tell you that when I visited that school, I expected tragedy and sadness, which is present. However, that school is still thriving, and it's a beautiful campus, and it's not broken like one would expect. And I think that that is due to the strength of you all and your community. And I think that when people remember that school, they're going to remember the strength of the community and how, I mean, every one of these kids came up here, the survivors, and testified as to the schools that they're attending and how well they're doing. It speaks volumes to you all as families, and the care and the love that you provide your children. And I couldn't help but notice when the survivors came in and testified that their family units came with them and were there for them. And I can't think of any other instance in one community where so many children would have not one, not two, but a group of loving family members to support them. And that's how I will always think of MSD, just as a great school that will survive, like you all have. So many of you thanked me. I want to thank you because you were ordered so that we could have a fair and clean trial. You were ordered not to have emotional reactions, to show restraint that I don't believe. I think I would be like Mr. Oliver, and I would have to be in my office because I don't believe I would be able to show the restraint that you all showed, and I thank you for that. It's the sentence of the court as follows. Count 1 of the indictment, the murder in the first degree of Luke Hoyer. The court imposes a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Count 2 of the indictment, the murder in the first degree of Martin Duque Anquiano. The court imposes a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole. Count 32 for the attempted murder in the first degree of Stacy Lapel. The court imposes a life sentence with a 20-year minimum mandatory prison sentence under Florida's 1020 life statute. Count 33, for the attempted murder of Anthony Borges. The court imposes a life sentence with a mandatory life sentence under Florida's 1020 life statute. Count 34, for the attempted murder in the first degree of Kyle Lamont. The court imposes a life sentence with a minimum mandatory of life in prison under Florida's 1020 life statute. I am ordering that each and every count of the indictment run consecutive to one another. Statute. Again, I am ordering that all 34 counts of the indictment for each sentence is to run consecutive, that is, one after another. I'm ordering all mandatory court costs, all costs of prosecution. I'm ordering the costs of incarceration of the defendant by the Broward Sheriff's Office. I'm also imposing a public defender fee pursuant to Florida statute. I'm ordering restitution for each victim as previously named in counts 1 through 34 of the indictment, with the specific amount to be determined at a later time. I am ordering pursuant to 943-325, the defendant is to submit to 2 samples of his blood or less intrusive method for purposes of the DNA bank. Mr. Cruz, you are remanded to the custody of the Department of Corrections to complete the mandatory life sentences imposed by the court. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court. If you fail to appeal within the allotted time period, or you fail to contest the imposition of any of the fees or costs imposed during that 30-day period, you will waive said appeal. I am also granting the state's motion under the Florida equivalent of the Son of Sam law, which means, Mr. Cruz, you will not be able to benefit in any way as far as monies are concerned as to the crimes that you committed. In addition, I am going to order the Department of Corrections to garnish the commissary account of Mr. Cruz until all restitution and costs of prosecution and costs of the Sheriff's Office are paid in full. The Department of Corrections, I don't know where you're going, but they can assign that duty to their local office, where they will charge an applicable fee and garnish your commissary until all of these amounts that I have previously ordered are paid in full, specifically the costs of the sheriff, the state, and any restitution that is ordered. Is there anything else from either side?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Is there anything from the defense?
Your Honor, the defense waives the PSI at this point.
It was previously waived. Then there was some discussion about whether it could be in a death penalty case, but the defense is maintaining their waiver of a PSI. Mr. Cruz, you're still under oath. Are you in agreement that you're not asking for a PSI in this case? Okay. Is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, he's remanded to the custody of the Department of Corrections. And he's to be given credit in the amount of 1,718 days time served.